Yeah, okay. So just very briefly, without wishing to bore everyone rigid, my name is Ben Habib. I'm leader of a new party called Advance UK. I was deputy leader of Reform, um, but for reasons which I think most people will be aware of, I fell out with Reform. Um, my history starts in June 1965. I was born in Karachi to a Pakistani father and a Christian English mother. Um, uh, Dad was born in Punjab, mum was born in Isleworth. My father came from genuinely humble beginnings. I know all politicians like to talk about how humble their beginnings were because that's the way that they try and ingratiate themselves with the public. But actually, my dad genuinely came from a poor background. My mother came from a very middle class English background. Her father worked for Tate and Lyle, and his father before him was a vicar. Um, so, middle class English family. I spent the first 13 years of my life in Pakistan, coming backwards and forwards to the United Kingdom. But, living in Pakistan, I went to the Karachi Grammar School, which was a grammar school set up by the Scottish Regiment when it was stationed in Pakistan. And my father was a member of a club called the Sind Club, not Sin as in SIN, but SIND, which was also set up by the Scottish Regiment in Pakistan, in Karachi, which was stationed there. And I think it was set up in 1883 by memory.
Yeah.
Um, and which is, I mentioned that only because the tailwinds of the British Empire, were still flowing through the subcontinent and Pakistan as I grew up. So even though I was born in Pakistan, it was quite an Anglo-centric kind of upbringing I had, going to English clubs and English school and so on. And then Pakistan went down a really bad journey. Started the beginnings of what became a very bad journey when Bhutto. Actually, but just before he was deposed, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he went quite Islamic in the
Right.
pursuit of trying to appeal to the people. He appealed to their religion and the country. That's when it started its journey towards a more fundamentalist form of governance, Muslim governance. And alcohol was banned, much to the consternation of my father. But more importantly, there was a coup. He was ousted. There were 9 months of school closures. And my mum said, enough is enough. Our children need to be educated. They're not getting a proper education here. So we were sent to boarding school in England. And I was at boarding school. I went to rugby school from the first year at rugby all the way through till the end of A levels, and then I went to Cambridge University. I was head of school at rugby.
Right.
I played for various sports, and then I went to Cambridge. I boxed for Cambridge.
I was
Left
going
Cam-
to, that's what I was going to mention, Ben, because that, I think a lot of people, when they hear someone that's very well spoken and very well educated, they don't think of them getting in the ring. And I just want to say, I've boxed a lot of the sort of the lads that will follow you as a result of our friend Tommy, giving his backing, will have also boxed, and it just, to get in a boxing ring, doesn't matter what level you box at, especially in doing it at a university or in the military or whatever, you're standing in front of a lot of people. And you can make yourself look very stupid if you get plonked on your backside. So I think that just says a
yeah.
lot. There's courage to
Well,
get in a
thank you.
boxing ring. You need to have courage. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, go
thank
on.
you.
I
And I think
interrupted you.
it's a great discipline, boxing. It does a couple of. I don't know how many people want to talk about boxing, but
Yeah, why not?
you
Yeah,
know, the couple of things I learned from it, apart from the supreme physical fitness you have to get into a ring, it's the trepidation that you first experience when you're going into combat. A trepidation over which you cease to fear being hit after a bit. And that sounds like maybe you've
that's
been hit too much, but you do stop fearing it. And
yeah,
you come to terms with what it means to face a bit of danger and not to fear that, which is a natural human fear. But you cease fearing it. And the other thing I think, which is really good about boxing, and I'm sure you would have experienced it and every other boxer has, you come out of the ring friends with your opponent
yeah,
because you've actually set ego aside. You've had to face each other, stripped literally virtually naked.
mhm,
There's no hiding. He knows you in a way that some other people don't know you, and you know him. And so you will almost invariably come out of the ring really feeling quite a degree of respect and not love, but friendship.
Yeah.
with
There's a
your with your
there's a camaraderie, isn't it? That I think,
there's a camaraderie. Yeah,
and I think, unique to boxing probably, and if maybe there's a few other sports, but specifically boxing, one, there is a chance of getting seriously hurt, so that's one thing. But the other thing is, you are literally on your own when you're in the ring. Doesn't matter what your
yeah,
corner are saying. When someone's jabbing you, hitting you with uppercuts, there's, like you say, there's
yeah.
nowhere to hide. There's no. It's not like a rugby team where you can kind of get offside and take a bit of a
Yeah,
breather. You're
Richard,
on it.
they never got close enough to uppercut me.
It's,
I was,
the first time I boxed, I got caught with a cracking uppercut, and it was just like someone turned the light on and off, and I never got caught again
I
like that.
know.
But
I
it's
mean that it's a lethal punch.
brutal.
But anyway, so I did that.
Yeah,
Then I went to the city. I began a life in finance. I went into property development. I had no desire to go into politics. I thought the whole thing was a waste of time. Anyway, we had Maggie Thatcher when I left university, and everything seemed to be hunky dory. The biggest arguments we had were, should the tax rate be X or Y? Um, there was no threat to the country. There was no fear that the country may cease to exist. We took our Englishness, we took our British citizenry for granted. We were the best country in the world. We may not be the most powerful any longer, but we were undoubtedly the best. There's, I came out of school and university thinking our forefathers had never put a foot wrong. Yeah, there were the odd blips here and there, but actually our empire was a force for good, and actually, which was reinforced by my childhood. So I left university and with this really very settled, complacently settled view of the United Kingdom, and something that I thought was incapable of being set aside. And then I got married, I had children, and I spent my most of my life working to make money to look after my children to a greater or lesser extent in terms of success, but reasonably successfully. And I wasn't interested in politics. And then my balloon went up in 2016. Richard, I didn't even campaign to leave the EU.
yeah,
I, I donated to vote leave, but
yeah.
only because Mark Carney and Osborne were talking nonsense. I thought this is rubbish.
Mhm.
We're not going to have an economic setback just because we vote to leave the EU. And that was the first time in what has now been a journey of unpeeling this onion. You keep peeling and you see more and more. But it was the first time I realized something's not right in the British political landscape. And the more I've got into politics, the more I've looked at the political institutions we've got, our politicians, the way we're governed, I've realized that actually, and it probably started with the EU, we've set aside what it means to be British. We are setting aside the concept of the nation state that is the United Kingdom. We're dancing to the tune of foreign interests, not to our own interests. And I say foreign in terms of foreign from abroad, but also foreign alien to us. Ideologies, extreme forms of uh, self-harm perpetrated through regulations and economic, etc. And as I've peeled this onion back, I've become increasingly concerned about the direction of travel of the country, and the complacency I had as a young man has completely been replaced by an utter fear that the country will cease to exist. This wonderful country, which has given so much to the world and which was looked on by the world with such fondness, largely, um, and still is. I think is losing its place very, very, very rapidly. And so I think it falls to people like yourself, myself, and no doubt the people who are giving up their good afternoon to listen to me, to mount a battle to restore our country, to get back the United Kingdom.